All right, everybody. Hello and welcome. It is Wednesday, October 2nd. I can't believe we're already into our 10th month of the year. You are here for How to Ace the Software Engineering Interview in 2024. My name is Albert Chen. I'm the founder of Albert's List and here to bring you this wonderful webinar today. With me is Phong Lam. He is a software engineering career coach with stops at DoorDash, Walmart, and IBM, companies you've probably heard of before in your life. And he's here to talk to us about how to ace the software engineering interview. As everyone here knows, with the tech layoffs that have materialized over the last 2 years, job interviewing and especially interviewing for software engineers has become more difficult. And so we are here today to uncover some of the tips, tricks, and just skills that you need to have in order to be the top candidate and get that job offer. Before I hand it over to Fong, we are recording this webinar and the slides can be made available to you if you're interested. So without further ado, Fong, welcome back and over to you.
Yep. Thanks, Albert. Appreciate it. Give me a sec. Let me share my screen. Then we can start this thing. Yeah. Hello, everyone. And thanks for taking the time out today to kind of have this webinar with me and Albert. Yeah, so welcome. Now, without further ado, well, cool. So, how to ace the software engineering interview in 2024? This is a topic that we hope to kind of cover today. I give kind of some of the intro as well as kind of the state of the tech market and just some of the reason why software interviews are difficult and kind of some of the problems with the current software interview structures and possibly open the floor for some questions and answers. If anyone have questions, feel free to just put on the chat, or at the end we can have kind of a direct talk if anyone want to kind of go with that. Well, anyway, yeah, a few things about me. I've worked at many different companies throughout my career. On average, I kind of switch companies every 2 years to 2.5 years or so. Been at some places even shorter. Some people might consider that kind of a job hopping. However, if you've been in tech long enough, you will realize that's sort of the average what people do in Bay Area. Folks even at FANG companies, the average of, say, at people at Meta or Google is about 2.5 years. So that's kind of what I'm doing for many reasons to kind of keep myself active in with this interviewing skills and also just kind of understand the overall job markets in general. That's kind of what my reason. And also, as you know, it's always easier to get a job while you still enjoy your current position rather than wait through the last second and sort of having to kind of rush through the market when things happen, such as layoff and stuff like that. So that's some of the reason why I do that. Some of the thing about my background is that I'm a coding bootcamp grad. I've never gone to school for the formal education in computer science, and all the things I've learned is learned through myself, also practice and talking to with some mentors over the years and colleagues, and that's kind of what I do with the tutoring in particular. I've done this in 2021 or so when COVID first started. I spent a considerable amount of time to kind of get better at software engineering interview and after that I sort of just started doing tutoring and keep myself been doing that since 2021 or so until now. Mostly I do it in a smaller setting. Usually it's a one-on-one environment. That's kind of some of the brief background about me. So yeah. next thing is the people that I've tutored come from different background, also come from a variety of companies. Also, these are some of the people that have come from these companies, also have gone to these companies, and the people, some of them have more experience than I do, some of them have less. It's just kind of a mixed bag because the software interview is always going to be difficult regardless of your level of years of experience. Anyone would know this. You can have 7 years, 10 years. If you are going to do an interview, chances are that you have to go through these LeetCode as well as just system design questions, sort of standardized in FANG companies or so. So that's kind of where things are, where my people that I have tutors and mentor throughout the years. This is a brief kind of things about the state of the current job market. This data is taken from layoffs.fyi. This was a few months ago. Right now, I believe the number is up to about 160,000 or so layoff in 2024. Last year is about 264,000. The year before that is roughly the same. So we are looking at in the hundreds of thousands of layoffs in the tech market sector within the past 3 years or so. What does this create is that it creates an increased competition within the market for people, and together with the economic uncertainty, we are in the market that makes it very, very difficult to stand out among other candidates, and because of this layoff, it creates an oversaturated supply of candidates in general. In particular, anything from entry level to about mid level is, I would say, anything less than about 4 years of experience, you are going to face an increased difficulty to kind of penetrate this market right now, and it's sort of regardless of where your background is from, boot camps or university graduate or so. That's sort of where it is right now in the market. A typical software engineering interview process. Some people know this, some people might not know, but generally you are going to get a first contact from the recruiter. Usually when this happens, you are in the pipeline for other steps within the process. Unless something that goes severely wrong, they won't schedule you. But generally, I would say 70–80% of the time, if a recruiter calls you on the phone, chances are that you are going to go through to the next round. The next round would either consist of either a take-home project, or you are going to have to do sort of an algorithm type of interview. A technical 1 hour interview, you are generally going to be given about 40–45 minutes or so to solve a series of problems. Typically, this is going to be about 2 to 3 problems. If you don't see the second questions being asked in this round, chances are that you will fail the round due to not having enough time or so. Try to pace yourself out in these rounds. You should aim to be able to complete a question in under about 15 minutes or so, because you are going to get at least 2 of them, sometimes 3, depending on the interviewers. So try to kind of work around your speed and your speed of execution, and also the correctness of it, because that's just how it is going to be. That's how it's going to be presented. The take-home project, it can range anywhere from a day, a few hours to a day, to as long as like a week or so. My advice for this is, if you do get this take-home exam, whatever the time that the recruiter tells you, you want to kind of double or triple it, which means that if the recruiter says that this shouldn't take you more than 6 hours or so, prepare to spend about 2 days on it. That's just how it is. Especially now, some candidate will spend a considerable amount of time to perfect the take-home exam. And generally, if you don't spend a good amount of time to get it in a very good state, you are going to lose out to those that do spend the time on it. That's my overall recommendation with the take-home exam. Also, generally with this is you are about 1 out of 8 candidates we get through this round to the on-site. It is going to companies. Depending on the size, they will interview a large number of candidates, and they are going to filter it down into the amount of people that can get to the on-site. The reason is that on-site is very costly for a company to get about 5 people together. To do an on-site interview is not cheap in any way. People have to take their work off to kind of attend these, and also write-ups and stuff like that. All of these are taken into account on their schedule. So it's generally fairly expensive for a company to do this. If they fly you to the on-site and do it in person, that's also increase the cost of the company, right? And so as you see, they are going to not let a ton of people through to the on-site, and just because of that. So for you to pass it, you have to kind of perfect in this round, whether or not it's a take-home or technical interview, or sometimes you have to do both. I've had interview where the first round will be a take-home project. If it passed, then you get a technical interview, then you go to the on-site. So depending on different companies, that's just the way it is going to be presented. Cool. The on-site is typically about 20% of the people getting on-site will actually get the offer. Sometimes it's even less. The on-site interview will consist of 2 rounds or so of the technical questions. What that means is that you either get about 2 rounds of LeetCode problems, which is similar to the first technical interview over Zoom or Skype or whatever that those things is. Yeah, so you get 2 of them. Sometimes it will be build something. If you are an Android engineer, they might ask you to do something with Jetpack Compose, for example. If you are a web engineer, they might ask you to, hey, add a feature in this pre-existing code base. Or if you're back-end engineer, they might ask you to add something. That's just kind of how it is for these for the 2 rounds of technical. After that, you will go to a system design interview. System design is, again, you have to kind of talk through how you would build something. We will discuss this in details on the following slides or so. After that, you will get a behavioral round. These things are typically about talking with a manager or someone else about what you have done in the past, what kind of some of the things in your resume. They might go through it and ask you to present a project that you have done in the past to demonstrate different skill sets that you have, whether or not it's leadership or working well with other people and things like that. That's sort of going to be the behavioral rounds of it. Then if you are going through all of these and you do great, congratulations. Chances are that you will get the offer letter and the negotiation aspect of it. But we won't cover so much into the negotiation aspect. But this is kind of how companies will set out. It's kind of a giant filter, and it will funnel down into a few candidates who survived in the end for that. Right. Cool. Cool. So let's talk about why these software interview are so difficult. This can come into many reasons, right? One of the first reason is they can be very technical, and on top of that, you have to do this coding with someone looking over your shoulders. That can create a very different dynamic than your day-to-day work, right? In addition to that, these questions, most of the time, if you are getting these LeetCode problems, these algorithms questions, they are not quite representative of your day-to-day work. Rarely you ever have to use any of these in your day-to-day work, but when you do these interviews, they are going to come up over and over and over again. That's just why it is difficult. And on top of that, it is a high stress environment, and it can be high stake too. If you are really in need of a job, the pressure will be very, very tough to kind of overcome if you are not used to this sort of environment. Right. And as we covered previously, these within this kind of tech market layoffs, there's just a lot of candidates. Someone will, you will find some people that will 100% on every technical rounds, which means that if you fall short of it, even just a little bit, you will not get it. I've noticed that the bar of interview has been raising up a lot, even for companies that are not within the A tier. When I say about A tier is talking about FANG companies as well as some of the more high tech startups that you can find things like, for example, like Stride, Figma, for example, those kind of companies. So even the companies that are not within those buckets, I've noticed that the bar has been risen up quite high, and I've had people that I mentor tutoring who do 90-95% close to what the ideal solution is, and of course they generally would not get the offer, right? Those are kind of why it's difficult. Yeah, that's and in addition of that, when you do not get the offer, when the company rejects you don't get any sort of feedback. You don't have any feedback loop to kind of understand why you failed. Most of the time, as you know, you will get kind of a very basic email that say, sorry, we have moved on to a different candidate. You can try to ask for feedback, but I would say 9 out of 10 times, they will not respond to you for multiple reasons. They just don't want to engage in that. It's not useful for their times, and yeah, there are many, many reasons. We don't know why. But when sometimes you do get the feedback, and those are very, very useful if you do get it. So yeah, so no hurt to not ask for those kind of feedback. Cool. If anyone have questions at any point, feel free to post. Again, I will quickly cover that. Otherwise, we will continue. Yeah, the success in this interview is sort of a combination of a few things. If you are within an entry or the mid-level, if you are within the entry to the mid-level, the lead code, the technical portion of it will weight a lot higher than your system design interview. If you are more of the senior or staff level and above, the system design will weight more on this. However, most of the time you will be asked all of them, but again, depending on your level of experience, the weight will kind of tip the scale of that, right? Cool. Let me see. Someone asking how to ace the software interview. Well, that's what we kind of go through here. Hope to kind of give the breakdown and what exactly things that you need to kind of cover in within your interview process, and what kind of mentality that you need to kind of go into it. You have more of the more specific question that makes it a lot easier for me to answer. Cool. Here are some of the problems with these kind of technical interviews that the problem with kind of leetcode interview, for lack of better words, or just algorithm problems in general, is that there are just a huge number of them. Right? You look in leetcode.com right now. There's over 3,500 problems. More problems are being added in every day, which makes it very, very challenging for someone that's not preparing well enough and have a technical interview tomorrow. I've heard stories of people just have an interview for a few years, 4 or 5 years, and then they go into the market, take the first interview and get completely blindsided with how difficult these problems are, right? These problems cover a large number of patterns also, and some of the biggest thing is candidates just have a difficulty to identify these type of problems. I would say the identification of the problem types and be able to classify them into some digestible form while you study is one of the most important things for you to kind of keep an eye out for it, right? Also, just overwhelming amount of resources. There's just a lot of resources online for you. You can watch hundreds of YouTube videos. You can talk to GPT all day to solve problems, to solve all 3,500 problems relying on ChatGPT. However, at the end of the day, when the time comes to you to actually do it, lots of people will kind of fumble in it. So it comes into to kind of overcome this, the consistency in preparation and just be able to balance the study with your other obligations and your day-to-day life is very, very important, right? The consistency is that you can do, you can understand these problems, but what happened is that if you get a job, you work for a few years, not even that, you can be working for 6 months, and if you don't look at this again, you will forget them. Next time going through, it will happen again. It will be very, 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 very difficult to kind of do it, right? And the variable difficulty levels is that these difficulty levels are fairly random. Lots of folks think that the FANG companies are going to be the ones with the hardest questions, right? That's just kind of the expectation. However, I would say that throughout my years and the companies that I've gotten offers from, when I passed the interview with Google a few years ago, I would say that wasn't even close to the top, the most difficult problems that I've run into. I've had problems that are very, very difficult, things that I've never seen before, could come from some much smaller companies, and you would get completely blindsided with it. That's just how it is. Yeah, these points together will yeah, it will basically create the problem with this sort of interview and sort of the difficulty for someone to easily overcome, right? Cool, let me read. Well, really worry about technical interview, get nervous when someone tries to code. Cool, I would say this to you is that this is not just a bootcamp problem, right? I graduated from a bootcamp too, and I've done tutoring for people that from traditional background, computer science, bachelor degrees or masters or whatever. Everyone will have difficulty with these problems. This is not a problem of where you get your information from, but rather they way that is very difficult to digest, right? You have a worry that you don't have a logic or mindset. I would say that it is. I would say that the mindset is something that you can change, right? And a lot of this is just it will come down on just preparations, right? If you work in healthcare, the past or any field in general, your day-to-day work compared to what the interviews are will be fairly similar. The problem with software engineering interviews is that the interview and what you actually day-to-day work, completely different thing. I would say personally, I'm an actual engineer. I would say about average. That's just how it is. It is not a representation of how good you are in your day-to-day work, but it is what it is. It's sort of a, for the lack of better words, a game that we have to kind of overcome if you aspire to work in certain company, in certain sector, and that's just how it is, right? Yeah. So whether or not you come from a boot camp or not, yeah, don't let that hold you back on what you can do. I've seen incredible people that's never gone to a traditional background. I've seen people that don't even go to a boot camp, people that just simply study by themselves from watching YouTube. Very, very smart people, very, very good people, right? Let me see. Cool. I have a computer science degree, struggling with landing a job. It depends on what you want to go to a boot camp to do, right? A boot camp or a degree is not a ticket to get a job. A boot camp or a degree will help if you want to refresh your skill, we want to learn something else, but they never is a ticket to get a job. A boot camp on your resume means absolutely nothing. It doesn't mean anything. My resume never listed a boot camp in there. Yeah, it's just completely omitted that for my resume. So it's not something that you want to consider, right? What makes a good interviewer? A good interviewer is someone that solves the problem 100% of the time. When you get the problem in the interview, you solve it with time to spare. That is a good interviewer, for the lack of better words. Those people are the ones that will get to move on to the next round. You cannot shake the nervousness and desperation. To combat this, really just do more interviews, do more mock interviews, do more interviews in general, so that you can kind of go past that mental block. Again, at hours list, you can schedule for mock interview. I would generally will host them. I've been on the both side of the tables many times in the past. I've done tons of interviews. As an interviewer as well as an interviewee. So yeah, happy to help. Kind of resume stand out to me. I'm not a hiring manager, so I don't care so much about resume. When I actually interview someone, I don't really look at their resume. I just look at how many years they have in the industry before I ask a questions. That's just it. I don't care so much on where you study from, what you have done in the past. I try to kind of just focus on the length of your experience and fit that within the interview frame. That's kind of what I care for, right? Cool. Let me go to the next slide. Okay. Problem with system design. This is the other side of the technical interview where you have to kind of design something. The problem with this is that it's very, as an engineer, it's very limited opportunities for someone to actually do this from scratch. Most people will never get a chance to build something from scratch in a working environment. That is a fact. You can be a senior, you can be a staff engineer. Lots of the times you not build something from scratch, which that just make it very difficult to run into these sort of problems and be able to kind of navigate to that. With bootcamp graduate, this is even worse. This problem amplified a lot when you're a bootcamp graduate. Why? Because in the bootcamp, most of the time, well, not even most of the time, the main objective of a coding bootcamp is to teach you some applicable skills so that you can go to work the first day without falling over. They will teach you how to build something in Android, might teach you to build something in the web using React, Angular, or whatever the most shiny new things is. Which means that you have a severe lack of fundamental knowledge on how systems come together, right? Because these system designs problems are very academic in nature, and they have a right or wrong answer, right? For example, question can be design a everyone know Twitter feed, Facebook feed, things like that, Instagram feed. How to design that? That's considered a fairly simple problem. In a larger scale of things. Well, it's not simple. The actual technical implication of that is very difficult. However, that question, when it is shown in a System design problem, I would categorize that as an easier problem. Why? Because there's a lot of info on how to do that, and there is definitely the right and the wrong answer to kind of answer those questions. Right. So the hard thing is to kind of figure out what is the right answer and be able to navigate that kind of ambiguous questions. These questions are, it sounds like an open-ended question. However, they are very specific in nature. What that means is that again, there is the right and the wrong answer, right? Cool. Let me see. Alicia asked, sign up for mock interview. Yeah, Albert can cover this. Generally, I believe you just send an email to the Albert's group and you can sign up for this. Yeah. See any other question? Oh yeah, Randy did ask earlier an example of a very hard problem. Very hard problem, again, this depends on people, right? Some people are better with certain data structures versus some other folks. Some people are very good with graphs, some people are very good with dynamic programming problem, things like that. So it depends. Something that might be very hard for me could be very simple for the next person, right? So that's just how it is. And again, it's all relative, right? Yeah, I'm doing a mock interview tonight. This is going to be, it is not going to be a lead code algo problem. This is more of a build something sort of interview. I've asked this question before at DoorDash. So if someone interested in seeing what a DoorDash kind of mid-level front-end web interview is, feel free to show up for that. Yep. Cool. Let me see. Go to nothing, no question. I will go to the next slide. Cool. Yeah, what we hope to achieve is that for the upcoming months or so, we look to offer a kind of an interviewing boot camp. This is more tailoring specific to interview rather than a more general coding boot camp and take you from from 0 to 100 just teaching to code. Kind of the expectation is that we hope to kind of train folks that can already writing code and struggle with the specific parts it is interviewing pipelines, whether or not, it is the technical part or it is a system design part. We hope to kind of cover that within this bootcamp, and we hope to kind of expand the value to Albert's list member. So far, we had coding, I believe, boot camps for kind of more general stuff. So we hope to kind of provide something that more specific to interview, and yeah, and it is a lower entry point for folks compared to one-on-one tutoring or different services like Algo, for example. You can go to Algo.io. That's what we hope to kind of cover similarly to that at a much lower entry point than Algo, right? And we want to kind of do them around this time because the thing is that this will run for about 2 months or so, which lead us to towards the end of the year, kind of hope folks to be ready to catch the wave when companies will get more fundings, when January and February turn around. Generally, around February is when you are going to get the most amount of job posting due to just new funding. More junior mid-level positions are going to open, and we want to hopefully arm people with enough, firepower, knowledge, and just to be able to get to this interview without fumbling them. Because in this market, for some folks, getting even an interview is difficult. So you want it so that when your card is called, you want to be able to get ready and game time, right? To put in a perspective, my very first job as a software engineer, I posted up about 635 applications. I got about 12 interviews or so in total, and 2 offers out from that. So you might not get a lot of interviews. So when it shows up, you want to be able to be ready for it, right? So that's kind of what we really hope to achieve, right? Yep. The agenda of these boot camps that we want to be able to kind of teach folks to be able to identify problems, get through some pattern recognition, host more mock interviews just so that you get used to it, right? Because as I see in the chat, some people mentioned that you can get very stressed out about this kind of high stress, high stake interview environment. How to get better is twofold. The first is to be able to kind of at least understand what the problems are asking, and the second is just getting enough practice so that the real interview is just going to be another mock interview session for you. When you get into that mindset is when you actually will do well with it, right? And also provide some kind of break down how to do this system design question, also just general behavior questions and how you can stand out as a candidate within this kind of market, right? That's what we hope to kind of cover in this interview. And this is kind of like a rough draft of what the schedule will be like. This is sort of a more condensed version of what I do tutoring in a one-on-one setting. So this is sort of the schedule. This algorithm is going to be kind of, we are going to go about 2 to 3 of these during the day. Each time that the boot camp we meet, yeah, that's kind of what it is. Yeah, these are more of the basic of what it is. It's going to try to showed up about 2x a week, each time going to be anywhere from 90 minutes to about 2 hours or so. That is about the runtime. We're going to be talk about the introduction of the new data structure, how to identify them from just keywords in a problem and be able to kind of plug and them into certain scaffolding that we are going to talk about. Yeah, other than that, that's kind of a bunch of it. And thanks. Any question anyone have, feel free to kind of post on the chat. I'm happy to kind of pick them answers. Otherwise, this is the end of my thing, and feel free to kind of add me. That's my LinkedIn, my email. I used to have a personal website, but I didn't migrate that, and AWS, I didn't, and AWS just shut down my website, so I have to redo it at some point. Yeah, cool.
So yes, the $200 off when you sign up today makes it $600, I believe. Um, yeah, so that's what we're looking at here. And so, the reason why we have it at that price is because Fong spends a lot of time. Yes, it's originally 800. That's correct.
Yeah, there's an anonymous question. Practicing
Yep.
and studying first. My study routine, well, before I actually got into a routine for my very first job, I kind of went to this in a pretty bad way, in a sense that I just study from 9 a.m. in the morning to about 12 a.m. the next day. I did that for about a year or so for my first job. Sounds crazy, but that's sort of what I went through for that period of time. I did the boot camp in 2017 for about 3 months. After that, that's all I did. Study nonstop LeetCode for 10 hours a day. But I would say this, even after do a lot of it, at some point, you will realize that even with about 3,500 or 4,000 problems on LeetCode, they have they have certain patterns to them. They're never random. And once you can identify a subset of problems from certain keywords, you can actually do them fairly well. I would say the hardest thing is to kind of filter through the noises that you get. The overloading of information is actually some of the harder things to kind of work around, right? Like some people might say, well, why would I do this when I can talk to ChatGPT and get it? Sure, ChatGPT will solve 3,500 problems for you, but the hard part is to be able to identify and do it yourself during an actual interview, right? And that's really what we hope to kind of cover. And yeah, the slides will be available. I think Albert will share it at some point. So,
Yep.
any other question?
Yeah, so I don't know if you had answered some of these other questions that were here.
Yeah, just
Um,
read them up if you have.
yep, slides will be posted. What makes a good interview viewer? I can't seem to shake off the desperation or the nervousness in my cadence when interviewing.
Yeah, I answered that briefly. I said a good interviewer is someone that go into the session. You're gonna have 45 minutes. You do it with about 10 minutes left to spare. Those are usually the people that will get to move on to the next round. Yeah, so I would say do good interviewers. Well, interviewers or interviewee. Oh, maybe I read a good interviewers is yeah, it's just someone that able to kind of go through the problem quickly, able to kind of articulate the problems and be able to get to the most optimal solution. Because even if your solution is not quite there, it's not good. I've talked to people when they could pass all of the test case in the problem, but the interviewer the you might get a follow-up question, how do we improve this? And they cannot uh, make the solution better, make it cleaner, things like that. Usually you will not get passed through in this kind of environment because it's very, very competitive right now.
Excellent. Um, I'm not an SDE, but I do code regularly. I've run small teams historically, not in an enterprise environment, but I'm looking for an individual contributor position with a mix of technical, business, and leadership duties at an L7 level. Does a course like this really benefit me, or should I consider some other training opportunity?
Uh, you are looking to get an L7 level, I would say this is not for you. This is more gearing towards actually the technical portion. Usually, if you are interviewing for an L7, LeetCode isn't going to be the problem. People don't hire a principal engineer to and then throw LeetCode problems at them. So if you are, if for whoever don't understand, L7 the is it's pretty much it's pretty much a director or senior director level in an IC form. An IC is an individual contributor. So there are people directors. We have a team. An IC doesn't have a team, but they generally fairly high level, and these are considered architect. They will make large decisions within the companies and things like that. So those folks, companies will not throw LeetCode at you if you are an L7. That's just how it is, right? So don't, yeah. What does L mean? L7, E7, that's just kind of the designation of it. These numbers are generally industry-wide. An L5 is a senior level, an L6 is a staff, L7 is a principal and above. So those are kind of the, for people that don't understand that kind of jargons, yeah.
For first-time software engineering appliers, how many interviews on average does one go through before landing the job?
This depends. This depends. I said I sent out 635 application, got 12 interviews in total, got 2 offers from it. However, a mutual friend between me and Albert, Tony, he did 20. He only did 20 interviews. He got his first job out from a bootcamp, and he was working the Tesla on his first job. I was extremely jealous and never told him that. I'm glad that he's not here. He's gonna, laugh about it. But yeah, it depends. So this is all depends, right? Depends on a lot of factors. Yeah.
How did you overcome imposter syndrome if you ever had it when you were doing your interviews?
Everyone has imposter syndrome. I would say the main cause of imposter syndrome is that you do not understand the problem. That is the largest contributor of it, right? When you don't know how to do something, you think that you are not qualified to do the thing. However, this can be overcome with just practice and have someone that guides you through how to study for it and just yeah. And again, these courses are made in hope to kind of prepare you for it and be able to kind of not having this imposter syndrome. But again, that happens to everybody. Imposter syndrome is a fairly common thing in the software world. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. How do you apply as a bootcamp graduate on a job posting require a bachelor's degree, but you don't have the bachelor's degree?
Well, you just apply for it. Show on your resume that you can do the stuff. How you do that? Make your own website. You are a web dev. If you are, say, a UX person, create a portfolio of some kind. Just put things on it to help you to stand apart from other candidates. Some people advise against doing this, but when I first did it, I emailed people directly asking them for a chance to talk and to be able to, having a conversation with someone in the company, and then us, and then try to kind of move forward, try to navigate that kind of conversation and ask to be referred without directly ask to be referred. It sounds kind of weird, but that's sort of things that you learn. I have some background in sales, and I would say that people usually don't want to buy anything that you try to sell. The goal of a salesperson really is to help the buyer to come to that conclusion by themselves. So same thing with this. If you get a conversation with someone, try to kind of talk to them, be interested in their work, and if something align, they will. And if they liked you enough, they might say that, hey, we have this position, looks like you have fit, you consider it, you want to apply, things like that. That's literally how I got my first job. I don't let me see if I can share that email. I don't want to show the person's name. Actually, yeah, the person name is there, so I don't want to do that. But yeah, I asked a few folks. I asked a person at IBM. I also had an interview at Open Table and other smaller companies by just directly reach out to people in addition to just shotgun 635 applications. But yeah, hope that helps.
All right. I have a computer science degree and I'm still struggling with landing a job. Do you recommend going to a boot camp to refresh your skills or getting a master's degree?
Okay, I would say no. You only go to a boot camp if you really. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend you go to a boot camp. You already have a bachelor degree. Whether or not you get a master, I'm not. I cannot give you know educational advice. So I will skip on that, but I would say it will come down to what your objective is, right? If your objective is to broaden your skill, yes, schooling is good, but if your objective is to get a job, uh, that's a different story, right?
So should they practice instead?
Yeah, if your main goal is to get a job, your time is better spent to actually study these interviews rather than doing school. That's what it is. It really depends on objective, right?
Yeah.
If you want to kind of learn something, if you want to go to specific in something, you want to do researches, yeah, maybe master PhD is the thing for you. But if you want to be a software engineer, then the advice is to get better with interviews.
Can you give us an example of a really hard problem that's
Uh,
asked in an interview?
yeah, I said before, this is relative. Some people, one problem can be an easy problem for someone else, right? So
What's
it's
something that stumps you? even as a senior software engineer?
Stun me. Well, let me see. Um, it's pretty wordy to kind of say the problem now, so I will just skip it. Yeah, yeah. It's
I was gonna say, what category of problem is it?
category. It's less about category than sometimes the combinations of categories together is the one that are going to give you the hardest time. Which say like some problem can be a pure graph problem, some can be a pure tree problem. The hard ones are the ones that have a combinations of them together, which means that if your understanding of one data structure is not good, and when it's being coupled with another one, that's when the real issue will rear its head. And I would say a lot of the companies that pay within the A tier range, you will get these kind of problems where they will have a number of things that are combined together in a way that you don't expect. And if you are unable to identify one thing in there, you will not be able to identify both of them. Those are the hard problem, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes and sometimes some of the hard problems would be something that actually, as strange as it sounds, some of the more hands-on problem can be very, very difficult. For example, they can ask you to, like, you might get, they might give you an endpoint where it will just kind of give you, is constantly ping you data. Occasionally, it will have a break in data and it will be missing stuff. And then we ask you to handle something very specific when those things that are just when you have a drop in data, for example, right? Like you might use like Wi-Fi, you walk around the house and then Wi-Fi drop. They want you to handle something very specific there. Those can be very difficult because they will actually come down to experience that if you have seen them before. I actually struggle with that kind of problem before because it's very, very specific in how you handle them because it can get really weird. I would say the lead code problems are actually much easier than the hands-on stuff because the hands-on stuff, it might put you in a weird situation that you might not be able to come up with a clever enough solution. But lead code is very formulaic, so yeah, it's easier to beat.
Wonderful. And then one more question here before other questions come in. I'm a bootcamp graduate. How do I get more interviews when I have no experience in tech and I'm not getting any responses?
Yeah, I said before, right? Build your portfolio, link your personal website in your resume. In the top where you put your LinkedIn, your email, you have personal website, tag it there. Or you do like do contribution to open source projects. There's a lot of open source projects out there. They might look intimidating, but you don't even have to write code to do some contribution to them. Sometimes all you need to do is just go in and change the description of the project. For example, some info, things that they some like typos or something like that. Doing that enough, putting yourself more comfortable with kind of that, and those things can go into your resume. Just in tech, the thing is that as a software engineer, the thing that people care the most about is literally the output, the result of your work, right? So yeah, not having a bachelor, not having a CS degree is rarely something that will stop you. I've worked for 7 years. I see people that gone to school, people that study by themselves, people that go boot camp. I've worked with some guy that just watch stuff on YouTube, and you find very, very intelligent people that never had any background. One of the person that I tutored before, he's now a manager, an engineering manager at Meta. Guy only graduated from high school. So to put that in perspective, a lot of people just, yeah, you find brilliant people from all walks of life. And that's just how you have to present yourself, show results rather than, piece of paper. It doesn't help you. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Any other questions? I dropped again the bootcamp link. We're going to be offering $200 off. So if you need to think until next Tuesday, then that's fine. We have limited spaces available, and Fong's going to spend a lot of time with you over the next 6 weeks. 2 hours times 6 weeks, 12 hours plus the mock interviews. So it's a chance for you to really become immersed as you interview and get yourself ready for 2025.
And we will go 6 to 8 weeks depending on how fast we are going, but that's kind of
Yeah.
that's kind of
Does anyone have
the
any questions about the program? Would they like to join? I know, Randy, you're asking a lot of questions, so maybe you're interested as well.
cool.
All right. Well, no other questions. Any final thoughts, Fong, before we conclude for this evening and uh, you know, go from there?
I mean that's it. Again, thanks for everyone's time today. Hopefully we get enough of a core to start this, and that's kind of what we are looking for. Yeah. Right. Yeah. The price. Yeah. I understand. Lots of people might have consideration for the price, but again, you are if you look at it, something that is within the same offering outside any of these services, you are going to pay a much steeper price than what it is, and we are trying to be able to open this for as many people as possible. So that's kind of where we arrive at this. But yeah, if you have extra questions, feel free to ask Albert or me or whatever. Happy to connect and yeah. That's it. We have a mock interview tonight. If people, again, interested in seeing it, maybe for the first time of how this interview are being conducted, yeah, I will ask the question that I've asked before at DoorDash. So yeah. Some people ask for a link. Albert, can you take care
Yep.
for the tonight? Cool.
There's a link. Click on it, and it'll take you in. And we'll see you at 7 o'clock tonight in 3 hours. All right. Well, without further ado, thank you so much for your time today. This concludes this webinar. We will see you all soon, either for tonight or at the beginning of the boot camp tomorrow, or for another event on Albert's list. Have a great rest of your week. Best of luck in your job search, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.